The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy Movie Club, the show where your favorite nerds sit down and talk about movies. It's Star Wars month. It is the beginning of it's going to be a 3-year-long tradition of us talking about Star Wars movies every May, and you couldn't wait 30 seconds for me to finish introing Star Wars month.
I didn't change
for you
anything.
To put your wrist on camera. You showed just your wrist. You Victorian era whore. You put just your wrist on screen.
Sorry.
Joel's in house, everybody.
Hello there, everyone.
Yeah, Joel's disembodied voice, soon to be disembodied body. Devin, introduce yourself. I need to turn myself down a little bit. I sounded
Devin.
really loud.
I'm not new here at all, but I'm going to reintroduce myself to you. And Jared's right. We got Star Wars, specifically the first trilogy, because we do this in chronological order because we're smart.
Release order.
We're going to do this in release order because we're smart. And well, if you didn't see the commentary, you'd know. Oh my God!
Your entire hand is
You
covering the
fist
end.
Oh, son of a
fucking
bitch!
Oh.
Joel! This new setup, you son of a bitch!
It was all working according to plan.
It's too loud.
And yeah, until it was way too fucking loud. And that's why I put my hand in front of the camera to immediately turn it down.
Wrist.
Yeah, well,
And granted, I just kind of right in there, but still.
I'm sorry.
Here.
Well, here we are.
I love you. I'm sorry.
Welcome to our show. But what's new? What's new in our lives?
Utter chaos, always.
So yeah, release order. Starting off with A New Hope, which if you haven't seen the audio
You want
commentary
to
yet,
get up on the board?
yeah, I'll get right in there. And
Be like, hi, how you doing?
hi,
How you doing?
I'm Paul.
Ha!
We were a one-cut show. It all stays in every time.
So we're watching A New Hope,
Yep.
and
First
Yeah.
time for you since you were a wee laddie.
yeah, it said that in the audio commentary. Had not seen any of the original trilogy since I was definitely 5, 6, or younger. So this was definitely so interesting to watch and try to even look at analytically and not biased at all. But I had a great time doing it.
I'm glad. It was
it was
fun
fun.
watching it with you.
I liked watching it with you because I feel like the conversations we had during the audio commentary didn't take away from the movie, but were a lot of clarification, not even overall plot wise, because I know you got to sit there and watch the damn movie to get the movie, but I liked it. All the comparisons between the then and nows, or how many times George Lucas fixed this or that.
I think we're using the word fix very liberally. Mr. McClunky. This is the funniest thing ever. That was so I didn't tell you this. The McClunky thing wasn't a thing until the Disney Plus version of A New Hope.
Oh,
So Disney Plus launch day, everybody watches The Mandalorian. And everyone's like, oh, what else am I going to watch on Disney Plus? I'm going to do a Star Wars marathon. puts on A New Hope. They know what they're getting into with Greedo shooting at Han and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
And then in that scene, just, over my dead body. Oh, that's the plan. I have been looking forward to this, Solo. I bet you have. McClunky. And then, like, all of Twitter combusted.
Yeah.
All of Star Wars Twitter for like a week was like, what the shit is McClunky? Am I hallucinating right now?
You and I were going at it for a little while.
It was the funniest thing I've ever heard. This is back when I was working at the movie theater. I look at my phone when I'm like going to the bathroom, and I just see McClunky is trending. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Hashtag McClunky.
And it's like, it'll show you like a trending term, and it'll show you like the related search terms that are like trending with McClunky. It's like Disney Plus, Star Wars, Greedo, Han Solo. And I'm like, what did George Lucas add to this? And how? Because it's been years. It's been years.
I've said this before, but I genuinely think there was a moment in his career at some point where he was like, you know what? I just want to fuck with him.
Yeah, he earned it. He earned it. He absolutely earned it.
So he just starts adding random shit to the show.
Listen, when the Fandom Menace decided they were going to make that like the People versus George Lucas documentary, put that in big goddamn air quotes. When they decided they were going to pull that shit with George, he absolutely earned every right to just change shit out of nowhere, like a McClunky, like you, Spencer, and my favorite, Obi-Wan's like ridiculous screech.
Yeah. The inspiration for mine.
Yeah, the inspiration for the party screech. Another piece of deep lore we'll get to eventually, I'm sure. But yeah, no, it's so weird. But no, so like the McClunky thing, right before the Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm, they were doing a re-release of all of the movies in 3D. But they only got the Phantom Menace. And then the buyout happened, and then all of that pretty much got put on the shelf. It didn't happen. But from what I understand, the last chance Lucas really got to change shit, to edit shit, to just add CGI rocks in front of R2-D2 for no goddamn reason was the 3D re-release. So we're going to work this backwards real quick. Phantom Menace 3D re-release was 2012. 13 would have been Clones. 14 would have been Sith. 2015, the year we got The Force Awakens. And an alternate universe is the year where we, instead of getting a new Star Wars movie, we get the 3D re-release of A New Hope, which would have been a theatrical debut for McClunky. Can you imagine? I would not sacrifice the sequel trilogy for the world. But my God, what I wouldn't have given to just have everybody go is just in unison in a theater. Was that in the original? Everybody all at once just, fuck is McClunky? All at once. Is it just would have been a room full of people and like who were like super confused because it's like, oh, the original Star Wars back in theaters, like let's go see it. And then you just have like the hardcore, like the lunatic fans, right? Mm-hmm. Who like go ape shit over everything.
Like walk out.
I would know. Like I want to see the blood vessel that pops in some Phantom Menace chud's forehead. Anyway, now that we're done with McClunky.
I love how we haven't even started.
No, we just there had to be a McClunky preface for the whole
This is
review.
important. That needed broken down.
Yes.
Yeah.
We needed to discuss McClunky in depth. I promised in the audio commentary we would talk McClunky, and I'm a man of my word.
Gotta break down the perfectionist, Mr. Lucas.
Devin,
he must have had nightmares. They're like, Visions aside.
Wow,
from,
we got him.
Visions aside from just being like, I don't think there's enough rocks there. Like, that's not believable that R2 could hide behind that. And you know what? Greedo should have said something. Greedo.
He just really needs to say something right there.
There's a video of him sleep talking, just violently in a fever
George
dream.
Lucas, like in bed with his wife next to him, just like wearing nothing but his boxers. Probably, I'm lying, he's probably still wearing a flannel. McClunky, and his wife's like, George, honey, where's McClunky? George, you need to wake up. McClunky! Greedo said McClunky! And then like
Starts making phone calls.
He's on the phone.
Get me in the studio
Like,
right
I
now.
need you to give me the footage for A New Hope now. Mr. Lucas was wrong. Now, damn it! McClunky, and he's just like driving the Skywalker Ranch. He's like arms shaking, like ringing the fucking steering wheel, like it owes him money. Just McClunky, it's all poetry. It rhymes, McClunky. Like that's just him the whole way there. Oh.
Wow, this origin story.
I'm so sorry. But okay, this will be. My eyes are stinging for no reason. I think I got like crouton seasoning in my eyeball.
Talking about the fans' blood vessels.
No, the best part with all of this lunacy with George Lucas adding shit is that when the special editions first came out, his whole mantra was that like now that technology had like the whole thing was like technology is finally caught up to my original vision for Star Wars. And I can do more. And like things will be more true to my vision for the movie. And then you see the things that he added and you see the things that he changed. And they're so minute and so stupid for the most part that it's like, yeah, it's like the conversation we had about the Snyder Cut, where it's like, how much of the shit that got added to the movie was Zack Snyder's original vision, and how much of it was people bullied WB into giving Zack Snyder $70 million to do fuck all. And he was like, oh, I'm going to use this money. I'm going to just bring Jared Leto back because why not? So I don't know, like how much of his original vision was changed by Obi-Wan just going, ooh, versus like the echoing like nightmare fuel that is that weird screech. How much of his original vision is dictated by Obi-Wan screeching?
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the questions I have. And I love that it's stupid. Like again, like it's so Star Wars and it's so weird and stupid. Like it was like maybe a couple weeks ago. I didn't even know this until a couple weeks ago. There's this one line in The Empire Strikes Back that Darth Vader has that gets changed, and it's literally he's just paraphrasing himself. I didn't know this until a couple weeks ago. In the theatrical cut of The Empire Strikes Back, after he fights Luke, after he cuts off his hand, and they're like walking out of Cloud City, he says something like, bring me, like in the theatrical cut, he says, bring me my shuttle. But in the special editions and every version after that, every version I've seen, he goes, tell my Star Destroyer to prepare for my arrival. Why change it? What was the fucking point of changing that line?
I think it's just these really weird directors like haunted by storyboards that never like saw a lens.
It's a specific take.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same line. Bring me my
he drew
shuttle.
it a certain way and he heard him saying shit in his head a certain way and was just plagued by it ever since.
It's just so silly. It's just the silliest shit, and it's my favorite. Like, you have stuff that's like character choices, like Han shooting first, and George Lucas going, "Oh well, I didn't want our hero to be like a cold-blooded killer and kill Greedo." And kill Greedo in cold blood. And it's like he had a
I
gun.
would've been
He had a gun
fine with
pointed at him, George.
As someone that's
Greedo's
never
like
seen-
this.
Yeah.
The whole scene, it's fine. Greedo's like this. The whole scene.
Yeah.
Threatening Han's life. Like, I don't even like guns. That's a justified shoot. Like, Han acted in self-defense. What was George Lucas's response? It was just like, well, I don't like Han Solo being a cold-blooded killer. How am I going to fix it? Well, I'm going to have Greedo shoot Han in the head, and George go, real quick, and dodge it, and then shoot Greedo. Or like the change of like which version of Anakin appears as a Force ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
Like there's actual like story decisions that happen in the special editions. And even if I don't agree with some, like the Han shot first shit, like you can still justify it as like this is like true vision for these movies.
Yeah.
You can't justify to me. Shut up. I have indigestion and I ate a lot of Italian food. You cannot justify to me McClunky, the Screech, the Rocks, like an extra 30 seconds of a dewback, the Ronto. Like you can't justify those scenes. I love that they're there because they're hysterical. Because like it's one of those like when you point it out to somebody and go, you again like every time like from that point on when you watch these the movies that the versions of these movies that we have in the special editions, you have to remember when there's like an extra rock added or like you cut to an animal for an extra 5 seconds, all you can hear is George Lucas's voice going, I could finally achieve my true vision for Star Wars. And it's just an extra 30 seconds of an animal. It's so asinine and it's perfect.
You gotta wonder, okay, now this is coming out of nowhere, and I understand that. But like I got really into ornithology recently. And I just wonder like how many times in the background someone was like, nah, we don't want a red-winged blackbird. We want an eastern bluebird. I'm sorry. I think I'm funny. I think I'm so funny.
Me too. That was just
Took a second, but yeah.
Hey, Devin.
I would so be that person. I'd be like, I'd sit back. I would cater the soundtrack of like nature to a specific bird.
Hey, Devin, you have any numbers for us?
I got some numbers for us.
I'd love to hear some numbers, buddy.
What a segue.
All right. So Star Wars A New Hope came out in 1977. She's 2 hours and 5 minutes long. She had a budget of around $11 million. She made a staggering $775.8 million. Not bad for a little indie film.
No, especially one that was expected to be a failure.
I like that. The film has an 8.6 out of 10 on IMDb, a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. The film stars Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Alec Guinness, Peter Mayhew, and David
Prowse.
Thank you.
And Peter Cushing as Willith Tarkin. So, Devin,
What's up?
as a movie guy, someone who's going to school to create cinema.
Yes.
How was it like watching this movie? Like this like textbook classic.
Yeah.
Can you hand me my soda?
It was fun, man. To be honest, outside of like certain classes, I haven't watched a movie older than like the early 2000s in like a long time. And so like from the beginning, when you pointed out even like the acting style being different, it was immediately fun for me. It was immediately just like, I understand. Like, I get it. And like, things looked really good. I'm sure that they've touched up a lot of things here and there, like CGI. We've obviously talked about a nice amount so far.
Yeah.
But like, it looked really good. I thought all the acting was great. And I didn't have a problem with anything. You had teased earlier people thinking that Luke was too whiny or too bitchy. I see it. He's also 19. He's also like, saw like his aunt and uncle, like,
Best part of the audio commentary. Like, I talked about this on number one contender like 2 days later because I was still thinking about it. Was it like, hence the name? Because again, I'm still thinking about it. When Luke pulls up to the homestead, this is like it was like a comedy in 2 parts, right? Because he pulls up to the homestead and like everything's smoking and billowing up with fire. Devin's like, "Oh shit!" And then they get right on top of it, and then you just see Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru just fucking without a single like inch of skin on their bodies left. Just spread eagle on the step, like skeleton face down in the sand, and Devin just goes, "Holy shit!"
dude, did not think Star Wars was gonna go there. I was not ready for that.
Well, okay.
Like, at
my
all.
question is what at what point does like the rating change? Like, does blackened corpses change the rating, or is that just so far gone and toward ash that it doesn't count as blood and
Do
gore?
we really want to pad the runtime? Because I can give you a legitimate answer to that question.
I'm actually curious.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Okay.
How much of a deceased person, or like at
So-
what extent?
Here's the thing with that question is the fact that PG-13 didn't exist yet. At the time, it was GPGR. I don't know if like NC-17 or like XXX was still a thing at like what point they retired XXX and replaced it with NC-17. But the PG-13 rating, if memory serves, was not necessitated until Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Because it was too dark and too scary and too fucked up to get a PG rating. Because when you heard G or PG, most parents were like, "Yeah, you can get away with this." And then people have their hearts ripped out in Temple of Doom.
I love how that was it. Like like something that definitely will never happen in this world. Sorry.
Yeah, so like it's the hearts being ripped out in Temple of Doom that kind of necessitate like, well, this there are people going, well, it's definitely not R-rated. But this is for damn sure not a kid's movie. Like, I'm not taking a 6-year-old to watch this like horrifying cult ritual, right? So that gave birth to the PG-13. So at the time, and again, the MPAA is so weird that the tiniest things will give you an R rating. For example, Avengers, like the first Avengers movie. They had to change Coulson's death to avoid an R rating.
What was it supposed to be
How
originally?
horrible were they gonna do?
Yeah.
It was exactly the same. It was exactly the same, but too much of Loki's scepter was coming through on this side.
So they just circumcised.
So they literally just had less of Loki's scepter poke through the like this side of Coulson.
The same thing happened to him. His heart.
It's the same thing. He gets stabbed
Used to
through the
be,
back
now
and the
it
scepter
doesn't.
pokes through, but there was too much of the scepter that came through originally. I think it's the second Hobbit movie
Okay.
where there's a scene where an orc dies and he's twitching for too long. That almost got hit with an R rating.
Well, there is in the Lord of the Rings in the Two Towers when Gimli's axe is embedded in the skull of an Uruk-hai, and he's sitting on the. I know this is not Lord of the Rings review channel, but
We're off the rails.
but he's sitting on the Uruk-hai with his axe still stuck in his head, and it's like the Uruk is twitching, and so there's the Gimli Legolas battle, right? So they're counting their kills. Legolas comes in and shoots him to make sure he stops twitching, and he was like, "I've got his axe, my axe embedded in his nervous system."
I see. I don't know how that
R-rated.
gets affected, but like there's all kinds of like weird things that get affected with the movie ratings and everything. And I had a response to what you were saying. Oh, yeah. Talking about stuff like that. You ever notice how anytime in Star Wars someone gets beheaded, you only see it happen if they have a helmet on?
What? Because you're beheading an action figure? Are you
Because
serious?
you can't see their face. Jango Fett, we see him get his head cleaved off because he has his helmet on. There's a Praetorian Guard that Kylo Ren decapitates in The Last Jedi. We see Kylo do it because the helmet is on. Darth Vader gets his head cut off in Luke's vision in Empire Strikes Back. We see Luke do it because he has a helmet on.
About that though.
Count Dooku,
Oh,
we cut away
Not
because
mad about that.
Dooku's face is in the shot.
I would have liked to at least see like the back of his head.
I mean, if you slow it down to the frame by frame, you can watch his head bounce into the wall.
Is that a
But-
prop or
CGI. George Lucas couldn't help himself. It's a CGI head and it looks like shit. But no, so the MPAA shit's so weird. So no, I don't know where the line is for like Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Like, at what point is this too much? But yeah, no, it was the funniest shit ever. Because like that scene is just such a given to me at this point.
Yeah.
That at no point did it occur to me that like it might be really jarring for like this whole movie, this whole like discount ass Flash Gordon story up to this point to just come to a screeching halt for Luke to just find his aunt and uncle just barbecued,
It's just like they're outside the house and like
face down in the dirt.
yeah, like clearly like at one point was like running.
Yeah.
And it's just like you didn't make it. Actually, we killed you and like roasted you. And Luke's just like, and then like gets back on the thing and goes back to Obi-Wan and everything. I don't know. That was the way you said it was perfect. Like the movie came to an absolute halt for me. I mean, it was hysterical. It was surprising.
It was only funny because like it was I'm so numb to their death at this point that like every time I see Owen and Beru, like there's a part of me that's like, okay, we got T-minus 30 minutes before you are gone. like extra dead, right? But that just caught me off guard. But then what makes it even funnier is you barely flinch when they blew Alderaan to hell. Like you didn't even
because it
flinch
was horrible CGI.
when they did that. It's a good effect for the fucking 70s.
I mean, that planet ate it. And like
He gets turned into dust.
Yeah, but it was a model exploding. It's not like
Did they light real people on fire for the cadavers in Tatooine?
exactly.
This isn't Poltergeist. They used actual cadavers on that set.
What?
There's a reason most of
What?
the cast is dead. Bad juju. Bad juju on
I
Poltergeist.
don't like stuff like that.
You ever seen
Scary.
Poltergeist?
No,
Yeah.
I avoid scary movies at all costs.
Well, I think that they can be fun.
It's an older scary
It can
movie.
also
I
be
hate scary movies.
for that reason that they're scary.
Exactly.
One of these months we got to do an Ari Aster month,
No.
so I can try to
Get
find a
out of
way
here.
to
I'm
convince
leaving.
them to watch either Hereditary or Midsummer again.
I will never watch it again.
I haven't seen Midsummer.
Oh my God. You don't want to. You don't want to. You do not want to.
That's a story for when we're off air. But yeah, this has been so derailed. This is what happens when I'm like, I literally have like I'm with two of my favorite people in the world right now that I haven't seen in months in the flesh.
Hello.
Like I haven't seen this Nimrod in several months. I haven't seen this Nimrod in several months. And now I'm just like feeding off of the chaos energy.
This energy is amazing.
I
right
know. It's so much
now.
fun.
And I'm not even drunk right now.
Yeah. Just saying something for Joel. He's had a hell of a week. I know. I'm going to shut up and let you talk about the movie for a second here.
I immediately tried to think so hard about like my thoughts about the movie, and Sweet Home Alabama started playing in my head.
What?
How did you not hear that? That was just for you.
I'm sorry. No, I got distracted by a thing for number one contender.
A thing.
But yeah,
The thing.
incest aside.
Not that thing, another person that I'm about to freak the fuck out about, but it's okay.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh
Playing in
yeah. Oh my
head.
god. I did not think that was gonna get a big laugh.
Dude, you killed me.
We're gonna stop spoiling gags in the audio commentary.
Get into the audio commentary.
It's $5.
They're getting so much better. Like the last 3 episodes. Oh my god. The movie.
I'd love to
Star
be on for an audio
Wars.
commentary.
It was good. It was a good movie. Like I've been trying to think about it, and then I get to the point where I'll overthink about it because I'm just like, I know a lot. There's a lot that I don't know, but I know a lot. This movie's 40 some years old, like
44.
44 years old. Congratulations. And
Ages well, doesn't it?
it does age really well. Like I had
Some of
fun.
the effects in this look better than most of the effects in the prequels. Like you just like I'm not the type of person who gets like all like practical effects over CGI every time. Like I don't get like I get the allure of doing shit practically and how like it's more impressive and all of that stuff, whatever. But like I think it's a little elitist to do that like practical beats CGI every time and like get like pissy about it and like, you know, shit on like big blockbuster action movies because of an abundance of CGI, right?
Yeah.
I hate that shit. But the best argument in that idea's favor is the fact that A New Hope has special effects that look better than shit than Revenge of the Sith has. And there's even some stuff in the sequels that don't look quite as good as some shit in the OT.
I got 2 more movies of the OT to see.
Yes. And don't worry, there will be a couple shots that look like Dookie. But
my favorite parts of the movie were Vader and him in any sort of government setting. Actually speaking and communicating to people. Because like I tried to do it as unbiasedly as I could, but there were a lot of times where I really didn't feel.
I did not think in like the Knights of the Nerd Republic, like pantheon of Star Wars OCs, this kid out of anybody is the Imperial officer of the bunch. And that's how it shook out. He's the one like, I just like seeing Vader interact with like the Imperial High Command. I'm like, so proud of you.
I have opinions I'd like to share.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Shit like that. That kind of delivery.
Oh yeah,
like,
it has such.
It
like
feels
grit.
heavier than it is, and that's just because of again, you know, everything. But like, it's so just like textbook number one villain for a long time, or someone that's highly and is still highly ranked up there for I think a lot of people, myself included. Like actually sitting down and watching A New Hope, I definitely thought the concept and actually seeing him like Darth Vader is a menacing individual. And I'm excited to see like in the next 2 episodes how much more it builds off of that because I really enjoyed him in this movie. And
I will say in the way that like George Lucas is very much a student of Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey and the way that he is very good at taking that classical monomyth outline and the way he utilizes Vader and Obi-Wan's confrontation. Like, you know, it's not the greatest choreographed lightsaber duel, whatever. But the way that the collective unconscious perceives Obi-Wan Kenobi as a Merlin, as a Gandalf, as the mentor, been around the block, is good at what he does, is here to teach our hero. And then we have Vader run up on him. And that, like, it is like Vader. And again, like, we have the greater context of the whole franchise, and we know they used to be best friends, and Anakin wants revenge for what happened on Mustafar. And we're getting this Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show next year that will, we're gonna find out that what happens in A New Hope is round 3 for them, and not like the first rematch. But when we get to that moment, put it in a vacuum, remove the other, 10 whatever movies. What we get is using the monomyth against itself, and how horrifying Vader feels because he is capable of killing the mentor. And that moment that works both in a vacuum and with the greater context, that to everybody watching, again, this is pre the Obi-Wan Kenobi show coming out. When we talk about this, the last these two have seen each other is Mustafar. And in context of the greater franchise, you can kind of feel that, like, Vader's angry, but you also get the feeling Obi-Wan's the only person in the galaxy Darth Vader's afraid of. Like, there's that little bit of, like, I want to put you down because you did this to me.
Yeah.
But also, you did this to me.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of that hesitation on Vader's side. And we were talking in the audio commentary about how, like, A New Hope is Obi-Wan's last ride, and he knows it.
Yeah.
And
I
Obi-Wan,
definitely think he's beyond aware.
like, Obi-Wan knows the moment he feels Vader on the Death Star, he's not leaving alive. He's not making it off of this space station. And he's at peace with that. He's at peace with that. You can tell he's at peace with that with the way he says goodbye to Luke. He's like, my job at this point is to make sure Vader does not get to you or your sister. And he says it without saying it. But the moment that Vader realizes he is no longer going toe-to-toe with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jedi General, Jedi Master, legendary warrior of the Clone Wars, when he realizes that's not the same man he's fighting as when he did 19 years ago in Mustafar, it's just that one moment in the fight. They get in that blade lock, he shoves him off, and Vader, stone cold, you should not have come back.
Murder.
Like, that's the moment where, like we talk about the moments where, like, Anakin wakes up in Vader a little bit, and it's always like light side moments. It's moments of hesitation. That was Anakin's level of, like, blind fucking rage, where he gets sloppy and vicious, waking up in Vader for a hot minute. And it's that, like, you are on my home turf now, and I'm going to put you down for everything.
I get that. I just don't get that effect in the movie, though. Like, I know in like the greater context, and sorry, I didn't mean to just jump in here.
No, you're good.
But
No.
like, the thing for Vader for me is that in the movies, I think he's an underrated character. At least he was for the majority of my life. Like, I was like, oh, it's Vader. He's the villain. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. And I think that was because I still treated the Star Wars movies as a children's film, essentially. Not in the sense that, like, bad writing or anything, but like, it was masterfully written. And I've come to have a greater appreciation for the way it was shot and the way it was written as time goes on. But with regard to Vader, I feel like there isn't a lot of emotion portrayed. James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
In his voice, it was always like, of course, it's this monster presence, right? But you don't see the rage
Because he's just a force of nature. And that's what I'm saying, is that within the context of the entire franchise.
Right.
Everything I'm saying, and again, this is a me thing. That's subtext to me.
Right.
I'm not saying that like you
Absolutely.
can hear it in Vader's voice.
So
that like this is why
Yeah.
this is the moment you pay for what you did to me.
yeah.
Because like again, and I made this joke to you in that scene, like again, George Lucas didn't have this shit planned out as well as he likes to pretend he did. He didn't like, when he wrote A New Hope, when people saw A New Hope for the first time, Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader weren't the same person.
They just kind of fell
Like,
into
for
place
sure?
as things
Huh?
moved on.
Like for sure.
Well, the first draft, it's the first draft. They're not the same person. The whole Vader is Luke's father thing kind of slowly came into being, the same way that like it slowly came into being that it's Luke and Leia who are brother and sister. From square one, Vader was not Luke's father.
Good to know.
Therefore, Vader was not Anakin Skywalker. And again, one of the hilarious indicators of that is when they're all by themselves. What like Obi-Wan addresses Darth Vader as Darth, as though it is his first name, not a title, right? Obi-Wan, like the way the movie was originally written, Obi-Wan isn't lying to Luke. A young Jedi named Darth Vader. Vader, Darth. On a birth certificate.
So the whole lore
Betrayed
of, like, Sith
and-
Lords being Darth, whatever, was not like
That wasn't a
thing.
codified thing. It wasn't like your
But it
new
wasn't
name.
until it
Good to
became
know.
like this Darth Vader thing.
Yeah, until George
yeah.
Lucas was like, okay, well then like, what's the name of our big bad in the new? Okay, so we have Darth Sidious, who's like the guy in charge, and then his apprentice Darth Maul, and then he created the like given name with the Darth title, which is cool. And again, like that's one of the things I love about Star Wars is like the way you kind of see the lore create itself in real time.
You need so many people to help do that as well.
Yeah, and you have all the EU writers,
Mhm.
and like George Lucas never really addressed the EU as being canon, but he did borrow elements from it, and it's this whole like weird web. But what I'm saying is that moment for me that you should not have come back.
Yeah.
It's all subtext that you only get from the rest of the franchise.
And yeah, so to add on that, it's like for the original trilogy for me, I love it, and I think it has an amazing place, in and
you ever
of
seen
it.
this kid's Luke Skywalker cosplay, by the way?
It's pretty
You
great.
got to.
It's pretty great.
can't wait.
Guys, make
my
a
favorite
cosplay on
Luke.
Instagram if you want to see it. So with regard to the original trilogy, they stand on their own 100%, but with the rest of the franchise, it just adds so much to it, especially with Darth Vader. Darth Vader in A New Hope is not the Darth Vader that I know. It is by itself. And as such, when reviewing A New Hope, I can't give it nearly as much credit as I would like to give it in its own right. But in context of the rest of the franchise, I absolutely adore the movie.
Yeah, and again, and it's so hard because reviewing any Star Wars movie,
It's pretty hostile.
oh, he's my favorite Luke Skywalker. It's so hard to. For you guys, it's hard to review it without the context of the other movies. For me, like I have to review it out of the context of the movies, the shows, the games, the books, the comics.
Yeah.
But this is where everything started, and it's like, and I think that there's that this conversation about one line of dialogue from Darth Vader is emblematic of like how simultaneously satisfying and strange it is to watch A New Hope, because at the same time it's like, oh yeah, Obi-Wan lied to Luke to like A, protect his feelings, and A, it was like, B, is like, I don't think you're ready to know this yet, and like that, and like that's the justification we get down the road. We also get Obi-Wan truly believing, from a certain point of view, what I told you was true. Like we get that. I love that I get a chuckle out of you with my Ben Kenobi impression every time. Lexi tells me it sounds too much like Paul McCartney.
Okay.
And then it's
I
like-
can see it, but I only connected it once it was said.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Like Qui-Gon, a band called the Jedi Man. Anyway, for old Obi-Wan and something. Paul McCartney's more up here. Old Ben Kenobi is further down and a little bit more in the chest. Would you go find old Obi-Wan on some damn fool's crusade?
That's actually really good. I appreciate it.
Your father's lightsaber is the weapon of a Jedi Knight, not as clumsy or random as a blaster. Anyway, I'm just jerking myself off at this point. But like, there's a don't make that face at me. But I think that one line of dialogue from Vader is emblematic of that whole like paradox that is watching A New Hope. There's the simultaneous like, here's all of the subtext that comes with that one line versus the way that it's just Vader, like the acknowledgement of Vader to Kenobi, of Kenobi from Vader, and Vader and Kenobi to the audience of Ben's a dead man walking.
Yeah.
Right. And like, just what I would give to experience this, like to temporarily wipe my brain of every ounce of Star Wars lore knowledge that I have, to experience Obi-Wan Kenobi looking Darth Vader through the mask and saying, if you strike me down, I will become far more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Like looking him in the eyes and saying that. And then minutes later, holds the saber up. He's like, this is like, you're going to get so caught up in the satisfaction of killing me. And then the immediate disappointment when he vanishes, that you're not going to notice they're escaping to their ship. And for Vader to like wind up, cleave through, gone. And just the wonder and confusion that must have hit the audience. Right?
It still confuses me. I mean, I get it. You know what I
He
mean?
becomes one with the
but,
Force.
like, a little bit.
Yeah. You know, like just he vanishes.
Like you'll give us charred bodies at one point, but you're just gonna like have
Get
him
rid of it.
disappear, so we can't see him get cut in half. At another point,
Well,
And
that's
yeah,
how you
another
can't see him.
reason.
It's how
Another
the-
reason it's not rated R because he's not cut in half.
Well, it's
All
because
these
he's becoming
freaking
one with the
loopholes.
Force. It's because his physical
the bodies
being
were burned
is-
to a
Mhm,
specific
mhm,
degree, which is why they beat the rated R rating. And
they also keep it consistent by having Yoda dying the same way, even though he dies of old age.
And then
He
the
also-
Yoda
callback
just
in the
Yoda
sequels.
just disappears too.
Yeah, it's because they're becoming one with the Force. It's that their physical being is like transcending the physical plane.
Do you
And
have to
becoming
be
one with the
like
cosmic
really like connected to the Force for you to die like that way?
It requires.
Because I've seen hella Jedi die that just like are laying there in bodies and everything like that.
So okay. Okay.
Do we have time for this?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Long story short, if you're dedicated enough of a Jedi, you can figure out a way to exist to survive death through the Force eternally. The way
So that's
Obi-Wan.
what Anakin was bent out of shape about in like episode 3.
No, none of them knew about it. Was the thing. The first Jedi to achieve it was Qui-Gon.
Oh, well, still though,
and
like-
Qui-Gon still had to train after he was dead to be able to appear as a Force ghost. That's why we
Okay.
only see it happening in like the limited capacity that we do.
okay, all right, moving on.
Yeah,
As far as
that is the most
yeah.
like bare bones explanation I can give you without having to bust out a whiteboard
Yeah.
and like go, okay, living Force, cosmic Force, and like explain
Mhm.
the Force.
Well, I mean, as far as like the overall plot of the movie goes, I like it. It's not like too easy to follow, but it's also just like there's definitely some things going on here that are going to be explained later.
It's just
It
so
gives you that-
textbook.
That kind of feeling of like okay, I'm confused, but I'm confused for a reason. Like this doesn't feel like a plot hole per
And
se.
It leaves room for expansion and interest in like that. That's honestly one of the most ingenious things about all of the
Mhm.
Star Wars movies. There's always something that you can look up, always something that you can pick out of the movie and be like, I want to learn more about that. And then you could spend the rest of your life doing that.
And again, like this movie redefined cinema. It redefined what the blockbuster is. And in doing that, like this was the first movie to have like a massive merchandising campaign. These toys sold out so quickly that Kenner, the original distributors of the Star Wars action figures, released an empty box, had pictures of action figures that they said, if you buy this box and fill out this voucher, we owe you a box set of the characters that are in this pack, because they sold out that quickly. And they just got to the point where they needed to know exactly how many figures to manufacture, and it just became easier to just go, okay, Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, R2, Vader, Obi-Wan, ship it out. Luke, Leia, Han, R2, 3PO, Vader, Obi-Wan, ship it out.
That's pretty cool.
This shit sold out instantly. Before the movie came out, this is like Star Wars comic books started with them adapting the story into comic books that were being printed through Marvel. And then in between the movies coming out, Marvel just continuing the story until we got to Empire and shit like that. Like they built like the groundwork for the expanded universe, for turning this into like the first major multimedia franchise was laid all the way in the beginning. And that gets at what you were saying. Like that was the slow beginning and slow burn of there being comics and books and games and TV shows.
Yeah.
Started all the way back then. That was when that slow drip started. Like this franchise changed everything.
On that note, I have a note from Meg, if that's okay.
Sure.
She says, it's fantastic. Set the new standard for science fiction adventure films with mixed genres of military, space, Western, romance, and was one of the few movies of that time where a female character was not treated as only a love interest, and began the series in a way that they never expected. And we touched upon that.
Yeah.
This wasn't supposed to take off, but was so elaborate and well written that you could make an entirely lush universe.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is that like Fox did not like George Lucas. He was very stubborn. He was like this is my baby, this is my project. Y'all are gonna let me do me, and you're gonna get the hell out of my way while I do it. And they didn't like him for that reason. He had like 2 or 3 producers on his side that kept this project on the rails. When they went over budget, when they were behind schedule, you know, everything was so weird. Everybody that Lucas showed this script to was like, okay, so there's like this magic wizard and an evil robot and like a giant dog gorilla bear, and like everybody's just like trying to make sense of like looking at him like, what are you smoking, George? What the fuck is this? Right? Explain to me what you're trying to make here.
Just watch any of the pitch meeting like YouTube videos.
He couldn't. Disney didn't want it. Universal didn't want it. Paramount didn't want it. Nobody wanted to touch this movie because they were like, this is going to bomb. To get most cinemas to distribute Star Wars, Fox had to say, like, because there was like another movie that was coming out that year that was expected to be like the biggest movie of the year. They were like, if you want movie X, you need to take Star Wars. If you want the big one, you got to take the one that we know is going to be dog shit. Sorry.
Interesting.
Wow.
And saddled it. And that's to say, the real hero of this movie is George Lucas's wife at the time. She's one of the principal editors on this project and saved this movie. She saved this movie in the edit. Rearranged scenes, cleaned some shit up. Even with the incredible acting and the incredible story, you know, I want to get her name right because she's not credited as Lucas in the credits. And I want to make, she's the unsung hero of this franchise. She saved it. She absolutely saved this movie. And
well, meanwhile,
that's the save nothing of Marcia Lucas was the editor for this. It looks like
Did you say Marcia?
Marcia. I'm not
Did
sure.
you say Martha?
Why did you say that name? And like another like hilarious fact about this movie was that like because so many people had signed multi-picture deals to be in this, they had 2 sequels planned. And now I'm not saying they had The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi planned. They had 2 second movies. Not knowing, one, that they would only greenlight if Star Wars actually made money. And another that was like, we need to just get these contracts over with. That had scaled back everything deliberately so that they would spend as little money as possible. And then the bullshit sequel ended up getting adapted into the very first expanded universe novel, Star Wars Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
I don't know what that thing's about, but
it's weird and would have been our sequel if this movie did not make the obscene amount of money that it did.
What do you mean would have been our sequel? So it was going to be A New Hope, Splinter Cell, Blacklist, and then...
Splinter Cell, Blacklist?
But like...
Yeah.
Then like New Hope
and then it was over.
And it was Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah, because it made money. They were like, all right, George, go crazy. They like just got the fuck out of his way.
I love that all of this started, I don't want to say a whim, because like it wasn't a total whim. The story was actually great. The script was actually great.
Yeah.
So like not like a total whim, but a whim nonetheless. And now like we got household names, household planets, even like everyone knows what Tatooine is.
Yeah.
Endor.
Yeah. Alderaan's gone. I think it would have affected me more if I hadn't seen planets get destroyed. Like,
yeah, you also have seen The Force Awakens and just watched an entire solar system get
whole nother story.
Yeah, you watched a whole solar system get boofed out of existence.
I love that word.
Thank you.
Boofed.
We've not even talked about. I can't say we haven't talked about this movie because we have.
We've talked a lot about this movie. And honestly, we've kind of been following the plot line as we go through this episode.
A little bit. But yeah, it's just it's Star Wars, man. Like again, we keep talking, go listen to the audio commentary. It's $5. You get shit,
It's actually quite informative with all the things Jarod breaks down while we're watching it. So
he says, and then I go listen to it, and it's literally there's nothing.
So it's me. A lot of it's me explaining the special editions, me doing deep lore shit, and then me just every 5 minutes going, "I fucking love Star Wars." Take a shot every time. I just have to reaffirm how much I love these movies.
But it is fun. What else do we need to talk about? I feel like we've talked about nothing and everything.
Well, that's the thing. Is it what is there still to say about A New Hope? That's why I think it's good that we're talking about it in the macro.
I think Luke should have had the saber. I think he did, maybe strapped on him at all times.
Okay, so do you want to know the behind the scenes reason why there's a reason they don't do a lot with the lightsabers in this movie?
It's too expensive.
Wasn't quite the expense. It was the fact that they weren't quite sure how to make the prop work. And they had gone through. It's a
fucking prop. It's a laser sword.
Today that sounds simple because Star Wars figured out how to make a laser sword look good.
There's still shots in that movie of functioning laser swords.
Bad shots.
Not only say bad shots, let's run down all the moments we see a lightsaber being used.
All right, when he first gives it to
your father's lightsaber.
When he's wearing the helmet.
When he fights, whenever Obi-Wan fights off Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba in the cantina.
Yes.
the blast shield, like the training seeker scene,
Yeah.
and then the fight with Vader. If you watch those scenes, they are barely animating that blade to look the way it's supposed to. Like the shot where, and again, this is after how many re-releases, how many edits. Like this is the Disney Plus version, which means this is the most like condensed, mucked with version of this movie. Like we're lucky that Luke's lightsaber is blue throughout the entire version of this. All the way back in the special editions, in the scene where he's like sparring with the Seeker droid, it goes from blue to white to teal to green to blue again because it is so hard to get the color right, because they were trying to do this weird shit where like the blades were like rotoscoped and there was like a weird, like they tried to do it where it was all mirrors on it and they were trying to reflect light off of it practically. They did not quite figure out how to do the lightsabers. Plus they kept breaking. So like there was a lot of issues with those props. So take that. Now add on the fact that like they could again barely get the sword fight part to work. I don't think having Luke trying to use his lightsaber against the stormtroopers would have worked. Like in a universe where like we get like a comic book readaptation in the movies, or like God forbid we ever get a reboot of these movies, which like
no,
that would be interesting.
The Third World War. But
yeah,
he doesn't have to kill a single stormtrooper. It just like the scene where they're stuck in the trash compactor. That scene felt incredibly long. I will say that. And that the entire time I'm just like, God damn, what a lightsaber would be like. Just the most darndest helpful thing right now in this high stakes situation.
If only you had a sword that could cut through everything in the room right now.
And they're just like banging on the door. And then, but like moments later, after like 3PO actually like lets him loose, he's like back in the Jedi attire. And like, I get it, you change clothes, cool. But you have this little satchel, like this little black brown leather satchel that looks like there's a lightsaber in there.
Well, no, that's just like the weird like rations things that are on the belts. But like again, I don't think he has the sword on him inside of the Death Star. I think he leaves it aboard the Millennium Falcon.
Then I hate that as a character's choice.
I agree.
Well, okay,
but the only way you
figure-
get the plot developed that way though is to.
But here's what I'll say though. Again, like this is where like the internal logic of the movie kicks in. Their plan is we are going to disguise ourselves as stormtroopers so that we can move about this station freely. There's no way for Luke to like keep the lightsaber on him inside of the stormtrooper armor.
I would have found a way. You just have like
the audacity.
You don't get to have like the unicorn of weapons and just be like, maybe next.
I don't think I have space. Just like fucking Rhodey in Iron Man 1. Yeah. It's like Terrence Howard. Next time, baby.
Next time, baby. He's like, I can't really use it well yet. I'll just leave it under the shell.
And hey, again, canonically, whenever Disney bought Star Wars and they started printing the Star Wars comics under Marvel again, the first issue of the mainline Star Wars comic takes place in between 4 and 5. In the very first issue, Luke, Han, and Leia are like on this like trying to like take out this like Imperial weapons foundry or whatever, and Vader's there. And then, like, that's canonically the first time Luke and Vader ever fight each other, and it's over in seconds.
It's Vader just, like...
Immediately. Like they trade blows once, and then Vader, like, disarms him and takes the lightsaber away.
I mean, it's a fucking Jedi Master.
He's a Sith
Lord.
Anakin Skywalker was never granted the rank of Master. But
fair enough.
I made a prequel meme. I want to hurt myself now. But then it's also a really great moment for Vader as he takes because like Luke's like, It's like, I'll stop you. You killed my father. And Vader, and this is not a joke. This is not a bit. This is dead ass how Vader responds in the comic. He says, and I quote, I've killed many boys' fathers. You'll need to be more specific.
So he doesn't know.
He has no idea.
How the like?
He doesn't know that this is where he starts to figure it out. And he starts to figure out that something is fucky wucky here.
Well, hold on.
Because he disarms Luke and he's holding it and he looks at it and he says,
How the
hell? Did you get this? And he's just like, you're that punk Obi-Wan was training, aren't you? And then like he finds out in that comic, he hires Boba Fett and he's like, I need you to find out who the rebel who blew up the Death Star is. Mm-hmm. He's like, your mission is to at the very least tell me what this son of a bitch's name is. And then he sees the lightsaber and he's like, I don't like where this is going.
So up until those moments.
And then Boba Fett comes back and he's like, what's the boy's name? He says, Luke Skywalker. And then Vader's like, holy shit, my kid.
It was my interpretation that the Jedi were like so extinct that like whenever Luke was like just about to blow up the Death Star, and Vader's like the Fourth is strong with this one. In my mind, I was just like you think? But like he had assumed that this is just some cool cat that Obi-Wan was mentoring.
Yeah, he doesn't know his name. All he just goes, oh, this person can touch the Force and they can touch it a lot. Like their connection to the Force is a little kind of unsettling. Holy shit. He does not know that this is his kid.
All right. So I remember having a problem with that.
Yeah, no, he has no idea. He does not, canonically, he does not find out until like a little bit after A New Hope. And then he spends the 3 years between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back trying to figure out a way he can help. He can try to turn Luke.
Okay.
And like trying to bullshit
I feel better.
Palpatine and keep Palpatine out of the loop enough to not find out until Vader's okay with Palpatine knowing that that's his kid.
I'm kind of surprised Vader didn't go off the deep end. You know, he kills Obi-Wan. He's just like, I can kill the mentor. And then he's just like, I'm surprised I didn't just immediately translate over to just like.
Did you just call him Vades?
You did.
Yeah.
That's all I cared about.
I like that that's how close you are to Lord Vader.
Yeah, we're tight. And I'm kind of surprised he wasn't immediately just like, why am I not just like the mentor? Like, why do I need one?
Part of it is the part of it is the nature of his relationship with Palpatine, I think.
So like a little crooked.
I know, because they're busted.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good.
No, he's just got a crooked face.
Get out! Get out of my house, you dick! No, the part of it is his relationship with Palpatine. Part of it is that like very The Dark Knight Joker, like I'm a dog chasing a car. Like, okay, congratulations, you've killed Palpatine. What is the next step of your plan? Like, you gotta like, because like the easiest way to describe it is like the vice president has just successfully assassinated the president. What do you do now? How do you explain this in a way that does not get you locked up by like the hordes of loyal supporters? You know, how do you do this in a way where like the people who are loyal to Palpatine above all else in Imperial High Command don't turn on you? Like, there's a lot of hurdles to jump for Vader. There's also the fact that like if he tips his hand too much, Palpatine goes after Luke. And that's a worst case scenario for Vader.
Interesting. I need to watch The Empire Strikes Back now. Like, I need to know. I have too many questions right now. But
yeah,
as I promised myself I would do, one baby step at a time. We're talking about A New Hope. There isn't much I really didn't like about the movie as a whole. I felt like sometimes I had some pacing issues. Not even an issue. I was just kind of like, I feel like we've been here for a while. And then like,
A lot of time is spent on Tatooine.
yeah, I just like shit. I felt like just could have been just a little less. But like, I guess I wouldn't call it nitpicking. Just like it wasn't even like a very big concern. Other things, I really liked Leia. For some reason, I just had this like maybe when I was a kid, I felt different, but I was just kind of like, I feel like she's not gonna do anything for me throughout this movie. But whenever she was the one actually like getting shit done, first of all,
Getting shit done. And not only that, like when we first see her on the deck of the Death Star with Tarkin and Vader,
yeah,
where it's just like, Governor Tarkin, I should have smelled your foul stench when I was brought on board. Like, at any moment, these guys can whack you.
yeah,
At any moment. Like, you're completely at the Empire's mercy right now and have been outed as, like, the leader of the terrorist cell that is trying to rip the Empire down. And her first instinct on getting onto the deck, or on, like, the observation deck of the Death Star, is just at Tarkin and at Vader, like, immediately.
loved that. Big fan of that.
You could tell who her goddamn parents are.
Yeah,
Leia is the MVP of the entire movie.
Yeah.
yeah, I like
Into the
Leia a
garbage
lot.
chute, flyboy.
Yeah, I like the relationship she has with pretty much every character she comes in contact with. And like I like Han a lot. I like who he's built to be. He feels consistent throughout the entire movie, which I liked. And I really, dude, some of the shit he and Luke were saying back and forth to each other, like I just found it funny. It didn't necessarily read funny, but it definitely read as chemistry. And it reading his chemistry in those situations, like that's like when I'm looking for like solid acting and like
Yeah.
between two, especially like male characters, I like seeing shit like that. I thought they particularly killed it.
Yeah.
And
I hope she doesn't get us killed. She's starting to grow on me. That back and forth they have.
and like Han coming back,
Yeah.
which I had honestly forgotten about. Like whenever Han leaves, you know, at the beginning of the third act, whatever, and then like comes back and essentially like is the reason why they win. I was just like, either we were talking and BS and I forgot, or something else happened. I totally forgot Han left and was like in the movie. So when he came back to save everyone, I was kind of just like, hot damn, like, woo! Like, let's
The
go.
same noise he makes.
Yeah.
Like, Yahoo!
I was totally into it. Yeah, not much I did not like about this movie. I imagine you feel similar.
Yes. Absolutely. And this isn't even my favorite one of this trilogy.
I'm so excited to see what's next, dude. And like, okay, for the Empire Strikes Back review, we will have like a lot more technical terms and like we will talk about the movie. But
No,
like,
again, like there's like what else is there left to be said in like a review about A New Hope? Right? That's my thing going into this is that like I think that this is what makes this conversation worth having is that we're talking about this movie in the macro.
in the macro.
Yeah, that like it's like here is what A New Hope is like as a concept. And the conversation is more built around that than like trying to review a movie that is widely considered to be a perfect movie anyway. You know?
Right.
So with that, here's the arbitrary part. Devin, final thoughts on a letter grade.
A lot of fun. I got the same feeling watching it as I got when I could see a lot of big spectacle like space movies. Like seeing Guardians of the Galaxy in theaters when I was 14, I was just like, this is the coolest shit. Like I have to imagine this is what a 14-year-old felt like in the theater watching Star Wars. I got the same sort of feelings being 6 years old, watching like episode 3 and like on this giant IMAX screen, and it felt so big and larger than life. And I was very fulfilled and satisfied by the end of the movie got here. So
Keep talking.
the hell is that?
Nothing. I'm just having my response ready.
So I guess as a final letter grade, an A.
All right. Joel, final thoughts and letter grade for A New Hope.
like I said before, I kind of spoke my piece about how I think it fits within the greater franchise. Overall, though, as a a film, a standalone film, the first film to come out, I think it was just absolutely astonishing, especially in its time. Overall letter grade in as a standalone, A minus, but in the greater scheme of things, A plus.
All right. What do you think I'm going to say?
1100 out of 10.
Yeah, it's an A plus. Joel's not into like old SNL, so he has no idea what this is.
Nope.
My final thoughts can only be summed up in one way.
Something by a guy named Richard Strauss called 2001. And it happened. I broke it today.
Hold on, we just need to get through him singing it.
Just skim through.
Autograph. Dude, you're old man? All right, next
Hold
song
on.
is Don't It Make My Brown Eyes. Don't it make, they're actually hazel. Don't it make my brown eyes. It's Heinz to cash my paycheck. He kind of conditioned to pump world war.
This doesn't have the effect I thought it would have because I thought it would just go right to it.
Check my
Mrs.
email.
Lyman, how about a request?
Okay, I just want to pull up Bill Murray going, Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Anyway, that bit fell flat on his face, so it's fine. Devin, where can the lovely people find you, sir?
Guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Devin J. Armel. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Devin Armel1.
Ideally,
cool.
you do both.
Both look really cool. Jared?
Joel?
What are you? Oh,
Hello.
oh,
Hello.
sorry.
You can find me on Instagram. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. You can find me on Twitter at Jay the Sentinel, and you can find me on Instagram at Bass and Bacon Cosplay. Jared,
Yeah?
where can the lovely people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and at our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon page. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Case and Brian, the Waffle Wizard, Delta 9, and Zach and House. You guys help us make the content that we love to produce. Be sure to consider the $5 tier where you get access to the Knights of the Nerd Republic versus series, the audio commentary tie-ins for this show, and Heroic History 101. Also, you get this show early on the $10 tier. Be sure to check out the student store link on our website to check out our TeePublic and get all manner of Nerd Academy merch and goodies. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do the things. May the Force be with you, and cut.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!